Okay, now we're back. Something a little different this time.
Yeah.
Let's see how this turns out in editing,
Yeah.
to be honest. But welcome back.
Yeah.
Here we have Matt and Parth.
Yep.
Nothing else to do on a Monday afternoon, so we're just talking to each other. It's currently June 24th,
Yeah.
3:30-ish. What's up? How's it going?
Good, good. I have a little story. I'll kick it off with that.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
interesting stuff. We talk about politics all the time.
Yeah.
Politics. So, my ex-girlfriend invited me to an immigrant, rally. Like an abolish ICE, rally.
okay, hold that thought. Can you hand me my water?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Which one? This one?
Yeah, that's the big, yeah cup right there.
You know, have you seen these kind of cups at the bars?
I think I have, yeah. I got
the-
this at Target.
Okay.
So I have like a drinking cup, like for water, and this is my go-to thing.
Okay.
But you were saying,
Yeah. No, they have some of those just smaller versions where they
smaller
give what's it called, tequila and
and hard alcohol type of thing.
margaritas.
Sure. Yeah, this is a beer mug technically, so
Oh, okay.
I'm misusing it.
Okay.
Anyway, so you were saying?
So yeah, she invited me to an abolish ICE, and it was basically like a rally, like a protest for illegal immigrants.
Oh, okay. So
Right. So they had illegal immigrants detained in downtown LA. There's a little
it was like a demonstration.
facility.
Oh,
It was like a facility. It was right outside the facility. And it's kind of like a little jail, I guess. I don't know exactly what it is, but they have barbed wiring and fence it's literally in downtown LA. An immigration center or detainment center. I don't know what it was.
immigration center. Was it like a big? It was a big rally.
Okay. This
Hold
is a test round, so
I guess it didn't stick all the way.
maybe. Hold on, real quick.
Ouch. Is that good?
It looks like it's good.
Looks like it's good.
It's just my phone is very heavy.
Very heavy indeed.
Yes. But yeah. So, as I was saying, so we went there. I just wanted to get a feel for it, an experience for it, to see what is this whole spirit like? What does the whole group feel like? What is it like? What is it really like to be there? What do they talk about? What are their ideas? Are they really discussing a lot of this stuff, or is it just down with Trump? And it was the second thing. It was more so the second thing.
Was it like a protest? So
Yeah.
like a bunch of people? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like a march or anything. It was just one spot. A bunch of people congregated. There were a few different speakers that went on stage and talked about how acceptance and how white males, and this is true. I'm experiencing this firsthand, because normally we just hear about it on the news. I'm literally experiencing this on Saturday, right?
Okay.
Sunday, where literally they're saying these white males are in office, and they are creating rules to not include Hispanic immigrants or Hispanics in general into the society.
Okay.
They want to create a system that is only privileged for white males, right? And they were saying all this kind of stuff and whatever. And they were arguing the very, very basic moral positions, right? They were we don't stand for hate and this and that, and just the typical thing. And then people were yelling and screaming and cheering, and when you get into a group dynamic, I feel the individual stops thinking. There's one. Okay, so in The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, there's one chapter where he talks about you have to resist the downward effects of the group, and I clearly saw this. So the story they had in the book was about communist China, right? And how the group was always getting together and calling out people that were possibly not in the Communist Party, all right? So very political, very people don't think on their own. They want to belong to the group. I felt the same vibe here, okay? Just what I took away from it. Then at the end of the rally, it was a guy wearing a Make America Great Again hat. He just walked straight into the crowd, and they started chanting at him. They started chanting towards him. I don't know whether he just wanted to cause trouble, or if he wanted to just go and have a discussion or a debate, but I think it was a little bit of both. Eventually, he had to leave for church, but he was Jamaican, actually. He was black. And they were shouting things at him. Oh, one white lady, one old white lady, she came up to the podium, and she was like, I recognize that I have privilege, but I'm your ally, and I apologize for the people on my behalf. And I'm just like, I'm standing there like, do you really believe what you're saying, or are you just saying that to appease to the crowd?
Okay.
I don't know. For some reason, it didn't click with me. I just couldn't get into it, you know?
Uh-huh.
But anyways, then afterwards, the Jamaican guy, he went off to the side, and then a couple people went over to him and just were trying to debate him and talk to him. So I went there, and I was just listening to them chat back and forth. He was obviously a conservative. A couple of the good points there were two liberal girls who were discussing it with him,
Mm-hmm.
young liberal girls. Okay, this thing really needs to be fixed.
Should we stop this for a second?
Yeah, maybe for a second.
Okay, now we're back.
Yeah.
So, minor complications with equipment.
Yeah.
We're on a budget of what? $0?
Like maybe $20?
$50 maybe?
Plus our phones.
Plus our phones. So yeah, look how easy it is to start a podcast.
Yeah.
You were saying something about a protest, and was there like a lot of action going on? There was like a lot of people. It was like a big commotion. Kind of low key.
There wasn't that many people.
Okay.
I would say it was probably 50 to 70 people, maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't too many. Maybe, yeah, around 50 to 70 probably, I would guess. Maybe 80. But some speakers, one of the speakers, like halfway through the speech, started speaking in Spanish to like connect with the crowd more.
Okay.
And then it seemed like he was just saying like Trump will do anything to win. He's gonna say all these things. And it was just a hard left rally, essentially, for what these people believe in, which is that we're all humans, and we should not discriminate against people who are born on one side of the wall or the border, this imaginary line, versus this side.
Okay.
Right? And I feel that. I understand that. It seems like a moral case, right? I understand that. And there were people carrying babies over there and everything like that. It was like hot in the sun. They were just like,
okay,
cute little babies too. And I don't know, I could just feel that they really felt strongly about this.
Okay.
Right? If I was to sit back and have a conversation with one of them though, I don't think I could get very far. I really don't think I could have gotten far. Because it is very apparent to me that it's such an emotionally charged feeling for them, what they're fighting for, that they're not even going to consider anything else.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It is complete injustice to them. So I felt like it was a very big group spirit. Then they started chanting at one point that what's it called? A megaphone. You know, that one lady had a megaphone, and they started marching around in circles in the same area. And they started shouting something in Spanish, right? Like a little chant, and then like people were just walking in circles and circles and
was it really organized?
It was somewhat organized. It's not way too organized.
Kind of free flow, people just hanging up.
Yeah, it was kind of like hey, let's just gather together, and then we have a list of speakers who are just going to come on and speak. Okay. And then there was one speaker who talked about how the ICE is actually beginning to raid houses now.
In LA?
Think, or something like that. Yeah, in major cities where they're going to start the deportation process.
I thought they were already doing that, to be honest.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
But I guess like so what I heard was Trump. This was like a couple days ago or a few days ago.
Okay.
I don't know if I talked about this on the last podcast, but he's delayed the mass deportation process by 2 weeks to give Democrats a chance to negotiate. Okay. If not, deportations will start. And that's what it is. Okay. So, you want to pause it?
Okay, last time, hopefully.
Hopefully. Unless I get like a call and it stops recording or something like that.
Well, they're not going to know because you're going to jump cut every time. But welcome back, I guess.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me about that. You were going to a protest-ish kind of gathering. We were talking about ICE. and how they're doing direct deportations, like they're raiding houses and
they're gonna start those apparently.
Are they like dragging people out of their beds,
I don't know
throwing
exactly
them in a truck,
what it is. I really don't know what it is.
Kicking them over the border?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this: at the rally, I talked to this girl that I used to know. That's how my ex-girlfriend knows this girl.
Okay.
And then they're mutual friends and everything, right? But I was talking to her, a friend. She knows I was more on the, I don't want to say conservative end, but like leaning conservative, let's say.
Okay.
So every time they were speaking, the speakers were up there. She would translate or like add on to it by whispering in my ear, like, see, like this is what it is. This is what it is. Trying to convince me essentially to go with their side, So, she told me, she's like, you know what the definition of a concentration camp is? It's the same thing that she's a history major, by the way, this girl. It's the same thing that they did to the Japanese during World War II. Technically, there's no difference because they're both by definition concentration camps, because it's where they concentrate people into a little area or a camp. The problem is, I don't care about the definition. One concentration camp does not equal the same as another concentration camp, in my eyes. I don't think what we did to the Japanese in the 1940s was the same thing we're doing to Hispanic illegal immigrants today. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It may be both concentration camps by definition, but I don't think internally what's in the concentration camp is the same thing. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm saying think because I don't know, I haven't done my research, but I highly doubt we're treating them the same way as we did the Japanese in the 1940s. The world has changed. I feel like it's more humane. I feel like it's more, hey, we gotta have a better, more cleaner process to get the same job done.
Right.
The reason that we, put the Japanese in camps was because we couldn't trust them. We were at war with Germany and Japan, right? So we had to make sure that there were no spies or anything like that. So, we would put them in these camps. With this one, it's like, how we want to achieve a certain end goal, but as long as we get that end goal done without causing too much pain to these people, it's fine. All we care about is the end goal, which is our safety, and our immigration policies and everything like that. But I don't know, it's a complicated issue, but that's what I heard, and that's what they were talking about, and she was trying to convince me. So.
Okay, was she the only one who mentioned the concentration camps, or did a speaker talk about?
No, she's the only one who mentioned it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like someone would push that tweet, I guess, from AOC, from one of the speakers.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like their main figure that they, repeat after.
Bernie Sanders, AOC, yeah.
All those characters, yeah. Mm-hmm. It sounds like just a heated protest overall. Because a lot of them are maybe directly affected by this. Who knows?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotion in it. So
yes.
Maybe like their cousin or their aunt or deal
right.
or someone else.
Yes.
External family wise. So it could be direct in that way. And
yes.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh, my grandma's got to come over this weekend. Now she can't because she's in this concentration camp.
Right.
Well, that's a little far.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to, I think foreign policy now, is it a lot more strict when it was during Obama? Like, our foreign policies?
So there were a lot of deportations under Obama.
Because Obama deported a lot more than Trump.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
It's kind of strange how they're like amplifying these stories.
The narrative, I think, is a lot bigger nowadays. Nobody really looks at the stats and the numbers, I feel.
Well, the narrative is so big is because it's such a hostile platform now because there's so much hate on both sides. And this protest is proof, right? People just want to go get together and they want to hate. They want to shut down and they want to, take over, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like they know what's best, what's right, and they're doing something wrong. It's a very heated environment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Things are much more, I guess, riled up nowadays.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you feel very alienated when you were at that protest. You were like, I don't belong here.
Big time. I was just like listening there. Everyone was chanting along and I was just standing there.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't, obviously I couldn't get myself into it. Even if I wanted to, I could have pretended, but I couldn't even pretend. It was that,
Well, I think some
like,
of them,
out of,
maybe most of them were pretending. It's like an
I feel like
excitement, kind of like
I feel like it, man.
you're in the whole like crowd.
Yes, you know what it is? It's a part of human nature to think that if the majority of people do something, it's probably correct because they probably thought it out.
Right.
But that's how everyone else thinks. So then it just becomes this chickens following each other around, don't know where to go.
The huge cascade effect because people just follow what the big crowd is doing, and and it's also a big signaling of virtue, right? Because it's like we're doing something right. We're a crusade.
Yes.
We're getting together.
Yeah.
None of this is new. None of this is new. I'm pretty sure more are to come during the elections
Oh, big time.
in 2020, which are coming up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just a taste, little flavor of what's gonna more to come.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's gonna be even bigger. It's gonna be even more, I guess, protests, maybe more violence. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, in the coming election, things are going to get very, very complicated.
Yeah.
And I mean, nowadays with social media and the internet being so toxic, it's hard to determine what what the election is going to be.
Yeah.
Is that okay? It's,
Yeah, yeah. It's still recording. I just got a little notification.
So-
yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, props to you for attending that protest downtown LA, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
action, a lot of traffic.
Oh yeah. I've been to something similar. It was when I was at UCLA. It was actually the day after Donald Trump got elected.
Okay.
People
I
were
think you
wearing.
sent me a few pictures and videos of what was going on. There was
did
like
I?
marches
Yes.
going around.
Yes. Not my president.
Yeah.
That's what they were saying.
I think like classes were even canceled.
Some of them were canceled. Believe it or not, this is how insane this political thing has gotten.
None of the STEM classes, I assume, were not canceled.
Yeah. Probably not the STEM classes. It was probably like the sociology classes or something. But it was like some professors even emailed us, and I think it was even the what is it? The administrator, the dean.
The dean?
Messaged us like, hey, we don't support hate and this and that, so don't worry, classes will still be in session. If you don't feel like coming, we totally understand.
Yeah.
What? How are you, just because someone was elected that you don't agree with, you think we're gonna tumble into chaos because you're so sheltered from like the ground up? You've never seen a hardliner, let's say. A guy who is so strongly firm on what he believes that it's a little scary, right? People say Donald Trump is kind of like the Andrew Jackson of our presidents.
I'm not too familiar with how he was, to be honest.
So Andrew Jackson was a hard ass. He was like some guy who would not take anybody else's opinion. He was totally firm on what he
Wasn't
believed.
he the second, third president?
No, he was like the 16th, I think. Oh, no. That was Abraham Lincoln.
That's Abraham Lincoln.
No.
Okay.
He was the 14th or the 12th, 13th, something like that.
I would assume the first 20 presidents had to be hard asses because they were pretty much pioneering America.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no joke, man.
No joke. I mean, yeah, that was way back when.
Yeah. So,
Comparisons all over.
yeah.
Left and right, up and down.
Yeah. And it's like, very similar, I guess, personalities, but I don't. By the way, personalities. We've talked about this before, the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities
16, yeah.
test. I think Donald Trump is an ENTJ.
I'm not familiar with what. I'll look it up.
ENTJ. I don't know if I've actually tried searching it up, but he's a commander.
Okay.
Think. If you read the description, I can almost promise you, he will fit this description.
I think most presidents have to go into this kind of personality. Don't they have to express
Similar.
that kind of
Yes.
mentality?
I think there's two personalities out of the 16 that will fit for presidents.
Oh, okay.
Commander, and there's executive also.
Executive.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the leader of the free world, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's no joke.
Yeah.
He gets the most shit. He gets the most press overall.
Right.
All eyes are on him.
Yeah.
I don't know, because, geez, everything's so, well, even that protest, it's not that big, so nothing to worry about, really. I mean, LA is not being taken over by liberals.
Yeah.
San Francisco, maybe, but who knows. So, Donald Trump, we always end up talking about him. Why is that?
Yeah. Because the guy just knows how to get people to talk about him.
It's amazing what he has done for political history, because you know, he won against a big portion of the political spectrum. He won over social media,
And the polls are all wrong too.
and they were all wrong. Fake news, right?
Fake news,
That's
I
his
guess.
coin term.
Yeah,
and
that's his coin term.
guess what? It's real.
Oh god, I believe it, to be honest.
I do
actually believe him on that.
I know fake news has existed ever since Facebook came out, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Because you know, sponsors, and there's a lot of money issues, and there's a lot of side deals. So
journalists who had their own personal agendas.
you can't. Okay, so what bugged me the most when it came to like fake news and people like, oh, like that's not true. People who get their feed from like Facebook and other social media platforms, those aren't credible studies.
Bottom of the scientific hierarchy.
I know,
of
it's
evidence.
like big surprise, people. Those aren't going to be good enough. So
I know. I agree.
it's kind of, you know, a no-brainer, to be honest.
It really is, but people don't see it. I don't know why.
Well, I think this upcoming election, there's going to be a lot of more detailed, I guess, analysis in terms of like, what is this story saying? What is this guy saying? Different types of communications. Did we know how the Democratic debates went, to be honest?
I was literally just thinking that.
Okay.
It's tomorrow, actually.
Oh, it's tomorrow.
It's the 26th and 27th?
26th
Or the
and
25th and 26th? I don't know.
Democratic. Okay.
Wednesday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Wednesday, one of those two.
Okie doke.
So tomorrow, maybe?
Because our boy, Andrew Yang, is in the mix.
He's going to be on one of the days. He's going to be on the second day. I actually saw the schedule.
Okay, yeah, good to know. I've been reading his book some more. I'm on chapter 11, 12.
Wow, you were really reading that book.
But yeah, I'm reading it little by little,
Okay.
page by page.
Yeah.
And I love to read some quotes, but my phone's right there. Maybe I can get on Amazon Prime right now, or Amazon Kindle.
Okay.
But I mean, this guy really knows just how the economy works. And that's a very different kind of, I guess, flavor from a politician. And I've never really experienced that kind of, I guess, perspective.
Okay.
Because he really talks about studies and numbers and how the economy is like adapting so rapidly and we can't keep up. Like we should, the people should really manage the market, where the market really shouldn't manage the people. So he's making all these arguments and they're making sense. But, you know, I really want to say he's going to make it for that ticket for the Democratic side.
Yeah.
But most likely not.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary.
He's, I think, in the top 10 of the candidates, though. So that is one thing.
He is, yeah.
We just have to make. Did you know? I saw this on his Instagram. He actually participated in. He was a debater in the actual debate competitions in the 1990s.
Oh, really?
Yes, and he's like.
Oh, he did mention that. He was, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to, and I will deliver on that debate stage. So it's like, but who knows? I mean, because are those kind of debates like the same debates?
I've never, I don't know, and this is good because it's getting a lot of people like you and I into the mix. But there's going to be a lot more, I guess, audience in terms of like these events. Are you looking for an outlet?
Oh no, I'm good.
That's the idea there. What was I going to say? Andrew Yang, upcoming, most likely not going to be the ticket because a lot of the identity politics and a lot of the like socialist type of ideas are really being pushed forward. So Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, all these other figures, they are so good at the game in general. That's what makes them good politicians. I mean, they're not up there for no reason. So I can't access it right now. Oh well. But yeah, what are your thoughts on upcoming debates?
I just hope that there's not too much identity politics going on. I'm sure there's going to be some questions asked where it's like, how would you deal with the racism in this country? How would you deal with this? Is
that a real question that's asked?
I don't know, but I feel like
has that ever been asked?
It probably has. I totally feel like it would be asked. Or maybe they ask more specific questions. I don't remember because I've watched a couple of the debates. Like, how would you handle the foreign crisis in I don't know, in one of the Middle Eastern countries like Iran or something. If this was to happen, what is your policy on this, and how would you deal with this type of situation? You know,
Right.
so they ask some what if questions. They ask some questions about their policies, what their thoughts are, and then they would, I guess, I mean, that's what it is, right? I feel like it's very important to understand that the vast majority of people who are watching these debates don't truly understand politics. And what I mean, yeah, go ahead. You're gonna say
Yeah, I don't think anybody really does understand politics, people who are watching, because I know I don't.
Oh.
And it's a very complicated platform in general.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to politicians, most of them aren't experts in most of the topics they're talking about.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't experts in like taxations or climate change or,
Right.
nuclear power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's always stunned me, like how these politicians are the ones who have like a lot of power in general. But that's the idea behind a government and this democracy that we have. Yeah. Yeah. But you were saying.
Yeah. What I think is to understand that when most people don't really understand what's going on, they're usually going to veer more towards the candidate that they either have heard the name of before, or is very good at marketing, or is very good at simplifying the message and getting the crowd riled up, who's very charismatic, who's very, this or that. I don't think that it really... One of the candidates could have the best argument for how to save the country, let's say. But that person won't be elected because they're boring. They speak just facts and numbers alone instead of getting the crowd all riled up like, yeah, we're going to make America great again. We're going to stop those Democrats. We're going to get you your thing back. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And it's like, wow, okay.
I mean, even through that protest that you attended.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people really know what they're talking about in general? Even the speakers alone?
Oh, no.
No?
They're very political. They're very...
A lot of it's an echo chamber, like you were saying.
Yes, they're politicians. Some of these people were politicians on there. Now, I think... I don't know. To be honest, I can tell when someone is a thoughtful individual versus someone who's just who has a side agenda, who's using pseudo-moralistic stances to get their name out there or to get the crowd riled up on something that they really don't even know or have studied. Did you highlight?
I highlighted stuff,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I was hoping it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just looking at the book. I got it back up.
Okay.
So Andrew Yang's War on Humble People. They're doing some free advertisement for you, Mr. Yang.
Mr. Yang.
So
Yang Gang.
Yang Gang. I'm not too hardcore, but I'm really, he's my favorite Democrat right now.
Oh, me too, definitely.
So we're on chapter 10, this idea of scarcity and the mindset of scarcity when it comes to the economy. So I have some highlighted quotes here. Often people are unable to plan or budget effectively because they don't know how many hours they will receive at their store, restaurant, or construction site. And this is really real for me, for my family, because my mother's a RN, working nurse, and she works a lot of shifts, and my dad is also helping in a retirement home. So hours are very adjustable and they're very random at times. You don't really have a set amount of hours per week, and you can't really predict how much money you're going to get per week or what your paycheck's going to be like. And it's very difficult to actually have a financial plan going through like each month. And most Americans nowadays, especially most working ones, they're in this situation. And a lot of it is just paycheck to paycheck, really. And it's like you're always like on edge, like you try to balance like on a pivot. So he compares this kind of lifestyle to individuals who are higher up in the socioeconomic level. So he would say things like individuals who are well off, who become entrepreneurs. Most of them come from a very wealthy background where they don't really have to worry about being on a pivot in terms of like paying for bills, budgeting, things like that. on the short term, but they do budget lengthwise.
Yeah.
He was going to show a study. I didn't think I highlighted it, but he said that most entrepreneurs are white.
Oh, really?
Most of them have
Wow.
come from a good background of education, and most of them have a very wealthy family income. So they have family that are very well off, privileged,
Right.
in other words,
Essentially, that's what it
for
is.
lack of better terms. But yeah, when it comes to entrepreneurs, there's different types of entrepreneurs. There's like the struggling entrepreneur who, has to pay for rent, and he maybe works like a side job, but he's also trying to maybe create his own business.
Right.
Most entrepreneurs who are successful, and the main key for a successful entrepreneur is having those three traits that I listed. So having a very good background family-wise, good education, and I forgot the third one. But
Those are what makes a good entrepreneur.
that's what he was saying in terms of like successful entrepreneurs who go off to make big businesses and end up really being a competitor in the market. So this idea of scarcity, most people who are in the culture of scarcity, they're not in a good position overall. So here it says a culture of scarcity is pretty negative. It pretty much promotes tribalism and acts of sustained optimism, like getting married, starting a business, moving to a new job, all go down. So not much to look forward to when you're in this kind of scarcity culture. Like even things like getting married, starting a business, moving to a new job, all of it's a lot of work. It's like, the first thing to ask is like, how much money is that going to cost? Or, like, how are we going to be able to afford that? How are we going to be able to, make it down the road? And my sister's even asking this question too, because she's just got pregnant. And so they're looking for what's going to happen. They're going to move back in for a little while, figure things out. So a lot of things here are a lot of questions to be asked. But most people have it worse overall. What do you think on this whole scarcity culture that most people live in nowadays?
Yeah, good question. Scarcity in all aspects of life, I think, is bad, but I also think it has some good to it, because without you understanding what scarcity is, so economics, if we define just economics, what it is a study of how a society will, or at least macroeconomics, how a society will distribute and distribute a scarcity of resources. So if we do have a scarcity of resources, there's not an unlimited amount of wood or plastic or, computers or anything like that. How can we effectively get the most amount of goods and services into the hands of people to raise their standard of living? And the more your standard of living goes up, the less there is scarcity, typically, right? Now, that is not accounting for the inequality, the differences in how much money everyone has, right? Because in certain societies like America, there's something called the Gini Coefficient, where it talks about we are a banana republic, essentially. What that's called is basically the idea behind it is that we have income that is distributed unequally. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we are paying the people who are the most efficient at giving you the best goods and services while allocating those resources efficiently, the most money. People like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, right?
I think those individuals really knew how to play with their set of skills. So they're very good, I guess, in the market. Steve Jobs is a prime example of that.
Right.
He was one of the greatest entrepreneurs and marketers of all time.
Right.
So when it comes to big figures like that, I think they're like rare occasions. They're like, this guy got big. Maybe he got lucky. Maybe he was just really smart, but he had an opportunity, he took it.
Yes.
So that's a very good thing that happened.
Yeah.
Nowadays, what Andrew Yang's really trying to push is that this economy now is not going to be able to help most Americans as technology progresses more rapidly over the next couple of decades. And this is, he constantly pushes the point that there's a lot of negativity in today's culture, especially economic and socioeconomic wise. And I guess one of his backfires to this whole idea is the UBI that he's trying to push. And I'm still kind of like iffy on that. Like would it really work? Would it really give people a ladder out of this culture of scarcity? Because it's very, very difficult to really understand where this is all going for most Americans. I guess if we don't do anything now, it's going to go downhill.
Sure.
Based on, I guess, most of the stats or studies that they've done. But nowadays, I guess most people are relocating. You got major cities, New York, Chicago, San Francisco, LA, most of the populated dense cities. And I think the main reason is because of economic reasons. So that does say something. A lot of people are really aiming for a better economic life overall.
Right.
Here's another quote. A mindset of scarcity is more than just stress. It actually makes one less rational and more impulsive by consuming bandwidth. That could make sense. So people who are overworked, I suppose, when it comes to being less rational, maybe they'll be a little more uneasy throughout their day, probably.
Yeah, because they're constantly having to worry about their whether they're going to, survive in financially at least, right? And that takes up bandwidth in the brain, which leaves less room for other endeavors, entrepreneurial things, that sort of thing. So
it is true. That is true. And then we have Maine liberals blaming 1% white people in general, white supremacy.
Yeah.
Is that really going to fix things? Who knows?
Who knows, man?
Let's do a thought experiment.
Sure.
Let's say white supremacy was real.
Yeah.
And it needed to be abolished. If Democrats had their way and they took President Trump out of office, who would be the new president and what would they do that they would put in?
Right, interesting. So I think the first question to answer is what defines white supremacy? Is it just the privilege that white people have because of generational wealth, because of
I think they just see it as success. In Jordan Peterson's words, they just hate successful people.
Right.
In general.
Right.
It's not that their hate for the rich is more than the love for the poor.
Right.
So
I agree with that, by the way.
Yeah, that's the main drive for most of these, I guess, extreme leftists who are very chaotic and very impulsive. It's it might be just like a big jealous vibe going around. It's like, how can you have this and I don't have that? And people are just very anxious and down about themselves all the time.
Yeah. Good question. So I think it would have to do with, to get rid of white privilege. Well, first of all, I think people have to realize that the majority of the population in America is white. You want to look up the stats on that real quick?
For now, it is, yeah. But I think in the next decade, it's gonna change.
Probably with immigration and all that.
White demographic in America. Okay, so according to Wikipedia, as of 2010, non-Hispanic whites total about a big number, about 2 million.
200 million.
200 million, or 60.7 U.S. population.
60.7% of the U.S. population. So the majority of the American population is white. And the rest of it afterwards, I think it was 10 to 12% is black.
This is including white Hispanics, by the way.
60.7%? Or 72%?
Oh no, 72% with white Hispanics.
Yes.
And then 60.7 without white Hispanics.
Okay. That's something else, man. That's a huge part of the population. So I feel like if first of all, if you see a bigger number of white people that are successful in America, it's because part of the reason is because the population is bigger. So you're going to see a larger number of people anyways, regardless, right? Now let's say you adjust for that, and then you see more white people. I don't even know how you would go about adjusting for that. maybe just by proportions of the people, the percentages of each specific race in America that are past a certain, that are making past a certain amount financially. Okay, fair enough. So now the question becomes, so a lot of the people that were arguing about sociological structures and everything, and in sociology classes was that, especially about black people, is that after slavery was abolished, they had, first of all, the grandfather clause, Jim Crow laws, all these things, right? The clause, and laws. Laws. I was like getting a little confused with the wording there. But point is, after the freedom for black people, what happened was, it's not like these people were able to be hired at jobs. They were still mistreated, throughout society until like the 1960s after the Civil Rights Act. But even then, what happened is that black people had to start from the bottom with zero wealth, because as slaves you couldn't own anything. But the second you're freed, you start from zero. Then you have to work your way up. But with white people, they've had ancestors who have made money off of slaves and everything, and so that gets passed down generation to generation, which they grow per thing. So now the generational wealth amongst the white people is higher. So now the question is, should we do something about that? Should we, I don't think we should, to be honest, because I think give it a couple decades or a couple generations, it will sort itself out eventually.
Weren't they making that argument in Congress? They wanted to pay back ancestors of slaves.
Yes.
Back like a certain amount of money, I suppose. I don't know how they would calculate it out, to be honest.
But here's my thing, right? It's like, why should a person who never owned a slave pay someone who was never a slave? You see, how does it make sense? Because we're talking about history. All right, I get the whole generational wealth argument. I understand this. And they may be starting at a disadvantage. But as long as we are all given the same opportunity, equality of opportunity, I mean, it's just something we have to deal with for the next few generations, probably. And then it'll equalize out, or it should. If not, then we might have to deal with the problem later. But I don't see it as we should take from white people and give to black people. I think by force of government.
They're looking at it through a bigger perspective than need be, because there are very successful black people in general.
Yes.
Throughout different fields. Sports is a main one, to be honest.
Ben Carson, he's a neurosurgeon.
That is true. Even the medical field, even in all fields, to be honest. I had a few African American professors. So
see,
I don't know. It's very interesting how they keep pushing this agenda that America's very oppressive. And it's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. Because look at our president. He's such a bigot, and he's proof. That's the main reason that they see. Well, that's what they see Trump as. He's proof of all the oppression and racism and violence and just everything that's bad about America. Not everyone likes him.
Yes.
Okay. I don't really like him as a person, to be honest.
Okay.
It's just they're very, very unhappy that they didn't win that election. Because Hillary Clinton was like the savior, I suppose. During that time.
I feel like she was the same old, typical establishment. What is it? Establishment? Democrat.
Same old Democrat. I never really trusted the Clintons anyway.
Okay.
Neither did my family, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Even through like Bill Clinton. Because the Clinton family, they're a very sneaky politician group, aren't
Political
they?
Group, yeah.
They've been in that field for quite a while, and they've done a lot of things here and there under the table.
Yes.
So, I mean, Trump is probably the same way on the business side.
Oh, yes. He's probably super corrupt. He's probably done a lot of terrible things.
Yeah. But is that really the way to go to get the president to be corrupt in a certain field?
I have no idea, man. All I know is here's how my dad was saying it once. He was like, "This guy has probably done so many bad and wrong things, but if you think about it, he's had to go through some of the hardest negotiations and deal making and all this stuff, and regardless of whether he did corrupt things or not, he still was able to get the job done at the end of the day." And he was still able to win, essentially. even if it was sort of, so he knows how, because if you get to the upper echelons of society and the politicians in the group, it's a power game. The whole thing is a game.
Once
right?
you get to that top.
Yes. So if we have someone who's experienced at the game to carry out an agenda that is good for the American people, we need someone who is really good at the game, right? Who's been there their whole lives, and they're really dominating it. They're very competitive at it, and that would be, based on the description, would be Trump.
Yeah.
So
that does make sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Who knows, man?
To be honest, politicians overall, I never really trust them.
Yeah.
And let's see how this goes, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest, none of it will really change our lives that much, to be honest.
I haven't noticed anything different, so.
Me neither. People really push that narrative that, the president is the ultimate life changer.
Yeah. I think
Position.
the federal positions are just so overstated when people don't realize that the state has a lot. The state that they live in has a lot of power. The local city has a lot of power.
Yeah, that is true. Because federal has to monitor such a huge amount of different states.
Yeah.
And it's very complicated to I guess cater to each individual state.
Yeah.
Because Californians could have different needs than Florida.
Yes.
Or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But that is very interesting.
But even the federal government has a system of checks and balances. So I don't get why people were like, we're going to have a dictatorship. And I'm just like,
you're around a lot of cranky people, aren't you?
Yeah, seriously, man. It's
something bad happened to them. So.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, dude. I'm just like, no, dude, no, I don't think so, man.
So angry.
This is America, man. Do you understand? When you study history, there's a reason the foundations of this government were built upon avoiding a tyrannical government. As we founded the whole system based on fighting so hard for freedom from a tyrannical government. Mm-hmm. So, and from a tyrannical leader, George, what was it, the third, I think? King George III. And it was just it was built to sustain against someone like a dictator, you know? I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying America is invincible and the system is perfect, but I am saying it's very strong. It's very tough. It's not like it's gonna we don't even have a majority Republican Congress anymore, dude. We don't even anymore. It's majority Democrat now.
I think
or the House is, at least.
Yeah, the House is mostly Democrat, but the Senate is mostly Republican.
Still, yeah. But very, very, very close. They're very close now.
Very close.
The Democrats did take, it wasn't a blue wave like they were saying, but it was I
remember that.
Yeah.
The blue wave.
Yeah, it's every seat is going to be Democrat. No. It's very close to it, though. I mean, it's not a blue wave, but it was very close to the middle now. The Democrats had take over the House, so I think it's people I think were mainly panicking, not just because of Trump, but because all of Congress, House and Senate, was a majority Republican after the 2016 elections.
Yeah, it was very red.
Yeah.
That was a no-no, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because nowadays you have these stories like concentration camps, allegations being pushed left and right, and it's only going to get more crazier, I believe. That's only the beginning.
Yeah.
They're going to accuse people of being I don't know, descendants of Hitler or something like that. I was like,
seriously.
Whoa.
Oh, dude. So I got something. So the same people I went to the rally with, the girl who I was talking to about the whole concentration camps, yeah. She had something on her Instagram story. You know how California is requiring a new ID now from the DMV by October 2020?
Oh, yeah.
To be able to fly to different states?
I heard about that, yeah.
So it was something along the lines of how that ID, it's a way to know whether you came here legally or not, because to apply for it, apparently you need to provide valid documentation or something.
Okay.
Yeah. And to be able to travel to different states. But no, she wrote something about it, like a message, and then she wrote #Hitler moves. And I was like, what? Hitler moves? Do you understand what the moves Hitler made were not anything close to this?
Hitler moves.
I don't know about that one, How the hell are you comparing Hitler to... I don't know.
I mean, I guess that's one way to do it, because there's a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
In between a lot of borders every now and then when it comes to immigrants, I suppose. But here's one theory. A lot of those individuals, like that one girl, are mad because they've put so much work into being here already. They probably have like a few businesses, maybe they have family here and they don't want to be separated. Maybe they have a couple houses. They have a lot of stakes in America already.
Yeah.
So when they have this racist bigot system going after them like this, it's really unfair.
Yeah.
And it's like a slap to the face. It's like, oh, they're targeting me specifically.
Right.
So they feel very, very targeted.
Right. And they're not just going to stand by. They're going to obviously fight for whatever their rights are.
They're going to do something.
There was actually one of the speakers there was talking about how you have to know your rights, and there's a know your rights card, which you can actually look up online, she said, and you can print copies of this and pass it out to people and keep your own copy. So in case ICE comes to your doorstep, you have, I think it's like 5 different things that, there it is. You just literally click on one of those. You have the right to remain silent was one of them, I think. Yeah, you can remain silent, demand to speak to an attorney, do not sign any documents without consulting an attorney, and do not consent to a search. You have the rights to that. And that's Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and refuse to answer questions. If you arrest me, I will continue to exercise my right to remain silent and refuse to answer your questions. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to have an attorney present during any questioning. I refuse to sign anything before speaking with an attorney. I demand to speak to an attorney immediately, and I do not consent to any searches.
Yeah, people should know that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to know.
Yeah, so she was saying how you guys should all keep one of these with you and pass them out to people.
I learned that through movies. Through movies. Like when they have, when they're in the court, like, oh, I plead the fifth.
Yeah, I plead the fifth, yeah.
It's pleading the fifth.
Yeah.
That was the famous OJ trials.
Yeah.
When the Nazi police detective, apparently, he pleaded the fifth, and that was a big turning point in the whole case against OJ.
Right.
Really good case. You should really do your research about that. They made a mini series about it too. Really good.
Yeah.
It's like a drama series.
Yeah.
People should know that.
Yeah.
Very good. But I'm not sure how it goes when it comes to when ICE shows up at your door. They're trying to verify if you are here illegally, right? So they're going through their whole list and they're saying, oh, here's apartment 1A. We should go to that place.
Right.
There's got to be some kind of like safe protocol or some process to go through to like verify. And I think they're not giving these people enough time, so they're kind of rushing it. So maybe there's like some inconsistencies here and there. Maybe they messed up on this one apartment, but they didn't mess up on this one. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of unhappy people overall. Because, it sucks being like a target in general. You get pulled over on the side of the street. It's like, okay, what is it now? So yeah, it's going to be a bad time for a lot of people, I suppose. But do you think that, this is going to happen one way or another?
The raid?
The raid, I suppose. Or the people who are here illegally are going to be kicked
Deported?
out?
Oh, wow. Good question.
Because there's not really well, there's a process, right? So if you're... Let's do a thought experiment. If you're here, if you're living for like 10 years, maybe, and you've gone to school and you're out of school, you're working for maybe 2 or 3 years, and you have a green card, I suppose. And I don't know exactly what the process is to actually become a citizen throughout all those years. Maybe you've been slacking it, who knows? Maybe you've been off the radar and you've kind of like took advantage of that. So I think a lot of people are under that spectrum or under that situation. But in that case, I think ICE has a right to at least question you in that case. It's like, oh, you've been given all this time, so what have you been doing? And then again,
yeah, we're
very situational.
To
But now we're having technical difficulties again. Is it your phone?
Yeah, I got a call. Hold on.
Hold up. Should I stop the...
Yeah, please.
Here we go. Okay, now we're back. Sorry, I lied to you. That wasn't the last one.
My phone gets calls, and when the phone gets calls, it stops recording.
Quality content right here. So
It's gonna have so many jump cuts.
it's gonna have a lot of jump cuts. One of these days we'll get our own facility. Who knows?
We'll have the TriCaster 10,000. Or that $45,000 system with like the advancements and
By the
everything.
time they come up with the 20,000. But let's shift gears a little.
Sure.
Speaking of aliens, illegal aliens to extraterrestrial aliens. Actually, before we get there, let's finish the thought experiment about the whole illegal immigrants
Yeah, for sure.
situation.
For sure.
It's a, I don't know, I can't sympathize. And there's going to be a lot of hate in that kind of situation I just spelled out because
You're such a bastard.
you don't know what it's like. What are you doing? You can't say that.
How can you say that, man?
Who are you? Aren't you Mexican?
Yeah, aren't you Hispanic, man? It's a classic one, right? It's
Show me a green card.
weren't your parents an immigrant?
Wait.
Or weren't your parents immigrants? That's what I get thrown a lot.
My grandparents were.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
My parents were actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's a very bad and difficult situation to be in general. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you experience people who complain about this all the time. And the people who I encounter mostly every day, they're just trying to make the best of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of friends who are working. They're very busy. I rarely hang out with them. And I know a lot of the people who go to the university, they're trying to make the best of it. And everyone's just trying to get by overall.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I really do sympathize. I can't empathize because I don't know. I can empathize. Right? Empathy is usually when you're in the situation. But I do sympathize. Like, I feel like I was actually one of the most emotional kids growing up. Like, there's no way people think that I'm like some hard, cold bastard, you know?
You're a little sissy.
Yeah, I was a little sissy, man. No, quite honestly. I would listen to movie soundtracks and like
Disney.
get all like into the Disney movies. Like, I was an emotional kid, for sure I was. I've changed a lot, but I still have, like, you can't, I believe that the very, very core of your personality doesn't really change over time too much.
Okay.
You can have all this other stuff around you change, but the very core of you stays the same. And you can maneuver around the core, but I think you're the same. Anyways, I'm getting off topic, but
Talk about yourself.
just trying to excuse myself from my position of privilege.
No one really wants to talk about this kind of situation, to be honest.
I know.
It's like,
I have to justify my damn opinions now, and the fact that I'm a good person. And you don't even know me.
We are good people. Yeah, it's a very, I mean, especially in California, it's a big issue because a lot of people want to be here.
Yeah.
Overall. Yeah. But you got people coming in from South Carolina, across the East Coast. A couple of my teachers from Boston, and they came over for work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their main reason is because the weather's better.
Oh yeah.
Does make sense. But everybody's so condensed here. It's a problem.
Yeah. Especially LA.
Especially LA. People are just crammed into these small spaces. And everyone wants to be here because of the economic opportunity.
Yeah.
And that includes a lot of immigrants too who want that opportunity. Right?
Hip. LA is hip.
Yeah. I was looking at Lauren Chen's channel the other day.
Yes.
And she released
My future wife.
a future wife. She'd get divorced.
Yeah, she should.
She was mentioning immigration in respect to Canada.
Yes.
And I think she was talking about a study that said a lot in the past couple of years, I think Canada has been one of the most immigration destinations, actually. So they beat the U.S. in recent years.
In
Immigration.
terms of more, they have more immigrants coming in?
Migration, yeah.
Wow, they have a higher, so net migration rate, is that what it is?
Migration rate, I think.
For the past year, you're saying?
For the past couple of years, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe it was last year. Maybe it's like brand new, I think. It's a new study. But actually, I'll verify that. That's what she was saying.
Sure.
But she was complaining about she wasn't complaining, but she was mentioning how, the U.S. is not like the hottest country. Like there's people coming to Canada too, and we have immigration issues, and there needs to be a stricter foreign policy, situation going on. And I'll verify that view.
I
right
think
now.
that's crazy, man. Really? Because I've heard that the U.S. has had the highest migration rate in the world.
It has for a long time. It held the title.
Wow.
For a long time. Jobs with Canada. Comats. Maybe she has to study in her video, to be honest. Immigration crisis. That's what I was watching. But yeah, that's what she was saying. And she doesn't have the. Gotta have it, Laura Chen. Here we go. The country accepted just over 28,000 refugees last year, within the United States coming in second with 22,900. Okay. According to the US-based Pew Research Center, which looked for the UNHCR data, 2018 was the first time the US did not lead the world in refugee resettlement since 1980.
Wow.
Okay. So refugees, my bad. Not overall migrations.
Right.
So, yeah, that does make sense. Whole refugee situation going on, because we had a ban on refugee migration from Syria, right?
Syria, and
so I guess they had no choice to go.
There was, I think, for 90 days, we banned immigrants from. So for 90 days, we banned immigrants from 6 majority Muslim countries. By the way, there are, I think, about 40 majority Muslim countries in the world. This was the whole Muslim ban, right?
Yeah.
The narrative was that Trump wants to ban all Muslims. Such an oversimplification. It's beyond stupidity, in my opinion. When it's for 90 days, which is 3 months, and it's only from 6 countries, which Obama put on the deadliest countries that are most prone for terror countries.
I think he was just following notes.
Yes,
yeah, it was
yes.
like some
and it's like
notes.
There's a reason for those 90 days. We're going to develop a very harsh security system to vet the people that are coming in, to make sure that we are safe. Such a logical and reasonable proposition, which was totally oversimplified by, and you see so many people on the left like grabbing assumptions about like, oh, but the real reason behind all of this is racism. Right. The real reason, it's like, what? Yeah. Why? If that was the case, let's take down like, I caught you.
There you are.
Exactly. It's like, no, dude. National security is a very reasonable thing to consider. And if it's only for 90 days and it's only from 6 majority Muslim countries, I can understand, dude. I can understand.
Well, I think because it caused a lot more commotion than anticipated, because airports got riled up. They got backed up with a lot of flights, and there was like a huge issue with security, and TSA was overworked. Yeah. And it was just a bad time for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, as if air travel was difficult enough as it is. But it does make sense. A very logical conclusion to come to. Yeah. And I don't think he could have made a better decision, to be honest. It was kind of like a clean-cut move to make. Because there were a lot of refugees. From what I would remember, there was a lot of coverage about that. Yeah. And speaking of that, do you know of a person named, what's her name? She made a documentary on immigration through the Mediterranean Sea.
I don't know.
And Lauren South, was that her name? It was, I don't think, Border, I'll type it in Google. But she made a documentary, and she actually went in the field with the news crew. And she was trying to get the real story of migrants coming from like Middle Eastern countries to Europe, and they were crossing like the Mediterranean Sea and other ways of transportation. And she's a famous news person overall. And I'm not going to be able to find it very quickly because it was kind of like a low-key documentary that no like major news outlet promoted. And Laura Chan talked about it. She talks about everything. Leave it to Mrs. Chin.
Mrs. Chin. Wait, Mrs. Chin. That's funny. Is she married or no?
I think she is.
So
isn't she?
If she is, then she must be married.
You're really hung up on that idea, right?
Yeah, I don't.
You need to verify if she's married or not.
I should probably stop that. I should, but It's just, last name Chen.
Well, that's a.
Isn't that a little suspicious?
What do you mean? Well, I think that's from her dad, isn't it? Because she's half Asian, isn't she?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm assuming she's just
she's a
kept her last name after
Asian
getting married.
Person, yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, take my word for it. There was a documentary on it.
I will. Yeah.
And after that documentary, she went off the radar. Like she didn't produce any more videos.
Wow. Okay.
Because she got a lot of hate in general. Because it dealt with migration and refugees. And
what was her main point? Exactly?
Her main point was trying to get the details of the migrations in general. Like, were these refugees legit? Were they actually refugees, or were they like different people? What was the process like? How come it's such a difficulty with this migration policy that the countries are trying to establish? And
one quick thing. So you have a book here, by the way. It's called The 33 Strategies of War.
Got it. Wait, yeah.
Do you mind if I grab it real quick?
Pull it out. Yeah, that's why they're there.
I want to pull from something and make a point here, because there is a strategy of war in here that talks about terrorism. The very last chapter.
Yeah.
Very last chapter.
It dealt with like assassins and things like that.
Yeah. So it talks about what is the core of terrorism and what drives. Oh, is that the documentary?
It is the documentary. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Borderless. There we go.
Borderless. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Lauren Southern.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to get to that first, or do you want me to make
go
my
for
point
it.
first? Okay.
We finish that. Yeah.
So there was the chapter, the very last chapter. Okay. Is titled "Sow Uncertainty and Panic Through Acts of Terror," which is the chain reaction strategy. Terror is the ultimate way to paralyze a people's will to resist and destroy their ability to plan a strategic response. Such power is gained through sporadic acts of violence that create a constant feeling of threat, incubating a fear that spreads throughout the public sphere. The goal in a terror campaign is not battlefield victory, but causing maximum chaos and provoking the other side into desperate overreaction. Melting invisibly into the population, tailoring their actions for the mass media, the strategists of terror create the illusion that they are everywhere and therefore they are far more powerful than they really are. Yeah. It is a war of nerves. The victims of terror must not succumb to fear or even anger. To plot the most effective counter strategy, they must stay balanced. It says the last one. In the face of a terror campaign, one's rationality is the last line of defense. So the main thing is that, wow, you really used this book up.
Yeah.
Huh? This is probably one of your favorite books, huh?
Well, I bought it a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been thrown around a lot.
Right. So I think if you really think about it, the point of terror is you don't know when it's coming, these terror attacks. You don't know who is who. You don't know when someone is really supporting ISIS or if they're really a refugee or whatever.
Well, that's the best strategy toward defeating a
empire that's
big
like
nation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So like back in the day when it was like sultans and like Egyptian type of style, terrorism was the way to go because you're up against a big hierarchy that has like big military. They have a lot of cities, and it's just a big nation overall. The only way to win really is to go with the terror strategy and to make the other side always scared in general. And through that, it was a adopted strategy throughout history. So that's the way to go. You have even 9/11.
Yes.
And after that, look what happened.
Yeah.
So there's proof that it works.
yes, exactly. There's proof. There's literal proof.
Yeah.
But now, see, the problem is, so we don't know who is who, and you can't have. Obviously, the best strategy is to not overreact, right? Like the book was saying.
Yeah.
But you have to set a proper system in place to make sure that you're not just, oh, hey, let's just be naive and let everyone in and hope that they're all democratic and fair and all these nice things. Because the world is very nice out there. The world is not nice, dude. Like, if you go and experience the world, where they're coming from, it's what is it, winner take all? Or eat and pray? What's the word? That's social Darwinist saying? I don't know what it is, but...
Oh, yeah? Natural selection?
Natural selection, something like that. Okay. It's very cruel out there, right? It's like win or die, or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. They're not going to let as Jordan Peterson would say, their innate democratic yearnings flourish. When they just come into the country, like...
He has such good quotes.
So you have to understand, and that's why during the legal process we have them take tests, right, to help them understand history, to help them understand our country's history.
Right.
I think it's important for them to know the foundations of the country and what it was built on and why the system that we have currently works.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, if they're going to be citizens, if they're going to be voting citizens, which is not a problem, they need to understand this stuff. Then we can have a long-lasting empire that is efficient and it works. If not, then people are just going to come in, they're going to be voting citizens, and then they're going to vote a certain way. And if this is large enough, by the way, the margin between Democrat and Republican, the differences usually are not more than 17 million, I've heard, in terms of voting.
Okay.
Right? What was it then? The number of Yale study found that there's 22 million illegal immigrants, right? Which, if the Democrats would legalize,
they would get a huge shift in
the voting population, right?
Yeah.
So that's a strategy they can use. But now, point is that what was the point I was making? You have to just be very careful about educating those people and being secure about who you let into the country. It's a perfectly valid response, but and you're not a bigot for saying that, you know? You're not a bigot for thinking those things.
Right.
It's just people want to throw around all these terms.
Well, it's just that what makes, I think, the government so afraid is the possibility that anyone could be part of a big terrorism group and attack on American soil, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it's their job to really protect citizens overall. So that's why you have organizations like CIA, FBI, and ICE, even.
Dude.
So it makes sense, right?
Yeah. It's so funny. I was just thinking because I had some of the conversations I've had with these people are so stupid. It's so funny because a couple years ago I was talking to a friend, one of my Mount Sac friends, and my ex-girlfriend at the time. They were both liberals, like hardcore left, right? We were talking about ISIS, right, at the time, and we were like, don't you think that we should have a proper vetting process for people coming from certain countries where ISIS operates from, you know?
Right, yeah.
So we don't just have like people who hate America and want to destroy America, just like, oh, hey, just come in and, you know, terrorism.
Yeah.
So what one of them said, what the friend was saying, and my ex-girlfriend agreed, was, well, we can just give them therapy. We can just teach them things that are, you know, democratic and everything. I'm like,
that's a good indicator that they haven't thought it through.
I think so. Right. Because these terrorists, these people are the people who are hardcore, like Al-Qaeda, ISIS. They are born and raised to think in a certain way that's like...
Well, they're brainwashed.
They're brainwashed.
In general terms, yeah.
By radicals, yes. Yeah. And they think that what they're doing is something to die for. The cause is so great, you know?
Yeah.
They're actually fighting the villain, which is America. Now, how can you possibly, someone who's that far brainwashed, unplug them and switch their thinking up, and then allow them to become a productive member of our society? Very difficult to do, if not impossible.
It's nearly impossible. It is.
Yeah.
And there's proof of that because even with our own soldiers, most of them come back with PTSD or a lot of mental issues, so they can't really integrate back into society. So when it comes to that kind of brainwashing, and the US is guilty of it too, it's near impossible to actually I guess rehabilitate them or go through therapy, as they were trying to make an argument for.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult situation.
Yes.
But here's some of the documentary that we're seeing right now. Borderless by Lauren Southern.
Okay.
She visited, where did she go? I forget.
Wow, this documentary has a lot of likes.
It does. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Not quite 1 million views yet.
Okay.
But here she is. Like some Middle Eastern country, I suppose.
All right.
I do agree with you that there needs to be some sort of security system in place in general.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at it in a micro scale. When you have your own house, you have walls around and you have some sort of security system, whether it be a gun or some cameras or something like that. It is perfectly reasonable to act like that. It's not unreasonable. I mean, even when it comes to a good strategy like the terrorism strategy, when it could be anybody, right? Like you don't know. Then you're completely scared and you don't know what to do. And the best thing to do, I guess, is to ramp up the whole panoptic idea that you need to watch everybody. You need to increase surveillance. And that's what America has done over the past 10 years, or maybe even since 2001. So the past 20 years even. And
Wow.
that's the
It's
way to go.
almost been 18 years since 9/11.
18 years?
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Things have really changed overall.
Yeah.
They really have.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, even Britain has, I think they're number one in terms like surveillance systems.
Yeah.
I
Cameras
think.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Because they had a huge problem with terrorism in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they still do, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's sad to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, good book. You should read it.
Yeah. 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. I've shouted him out twice in this.
So many shout outs today.
Yeah.
Free advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we roll. So yeah, that's, I guess, our idea on our thoughts on borders in general, security,
Yeah.
foreign policy. No experts.
Jordan Peterson said that the whole main argument between liberals and conservatives is how open we should have borders. Because think about it, conservatives really like tight borders between things.
Yeah.
Right? Everything should stay in the damn box, according to him, right?
Yeah.
Or conservatives. And they're very prone to feelings of disgust. We see some of the most hardliner conservatives of the 20th century, Hitler, right, wanted things to stay in the damn box where they belong. We have separate categories for everything. He was very highly prone to disgust. He would have to go to his factories and literally clean out. He wanted to clean Germany up, like literally clean, because the streets were dirty and whatever, because he was very prone to disgust. But he also created separations and very, very hard-line borders between certain people also.
Yeah.
So we, the German people, the pan-Germanic people, are this supreme whites, the Aryan race, right? We belong in this box of superiority.
Right.
Jews belong in this box of insects and pesticides, or pesticides, pests that we need to kill,
And pesticides.
Yeah, pesticides. So we have to separate these people and put them in their own box. But the fact that we had to do that is very, very, very hardliner conservative, very far right-wing fascist, right? That's scary stuff.
It's an old way of thinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can't really put my finger on how a liberal finds their way of thinking so attractive. It must be some sort of upbringing or some kind of background that I'm not used to.
Yeah.
Because their typical way of thinking is no borders at all.
Yeah.
And that's very strange. Isn't that anti-human in general? Because when it comes to evolution, we evolve through a tribal way of living. And that's a natural way of bordering ourselves from nature.
Yes.
So
And from what is terrifying and it could kill us out there,
right.
versus what's safe inside us.
Right. So they kind of have transitioned into a backwards way of thinking, or like an opposite way of thinking, complete 180,
Yeah.
where they want to like pretty much go against that kind of evolutionary, building of being safe and just the security overall.
Yeah.
So let's switch everything up and open our borders and let everyone in.
And because their argument is that these borders are imaginary lines, but those imaginary lines are also, and it is true, they are imaginary lines, but they are necessary because, at least at this point in time, I think they are necessary. In the future, you might want to shift them around, you might want to get rid of them. It depends on what the current environment is. But I think in today's day and age, you need to keep those borders fine and secure, because here's the thing, right? We don't know, this is a very masculine idea, okay? It goes back to tribal times where it's like men would have to guard the border around their tribe to make sure that the resources and their women were protected.
Yeah.
So they would establish like sentries and guards around their territory, right? And they would make sure that no opposing tribes or anybody else would get in. So it's like anything on the outside, including whatever it is, ghosts, zombies, animals, beasts, other humans, whatever, is bad.
All of which was back then real.
Real, yes, everything. all of it on the outside is bad, all of it on the inside is good. We need to protect what's on the inside. And it's similar with countries, right? Like it's like whatever's on the outside, we need to watch out for. But in order to think that way, you have to have a big amygdala in the brain because it's a threat assessment center of your brain, right?
Okay.
Which they say, and I don't know if this is 100% true, it could be partly cultural, partly genetic, partly biological, whatever it is. But they say that liberals have a smaller amygdala, meaning they respond less to negativity than conservatives do. Meaning conservatives are more prone to the negativity bias, right? If that's the case, then to assess a threat is very difficult for liberals.
Yeah.
But to assess a threat for conservatives is rather easy, or they may even sometimes overdo it. It's like imagine you're so far right wing that you think everything is a threat. You need to make sure that borders are secure. We're all safe. We're all like you're always nervous. Like Hitler, let's say, you're like, oh, these Jews, we need to put them in their little corner. We need to we need to dispose of them and whatever. Then we have the people on the left who are like everything it should just mesh into everything all together, right? Which is wrong also. But you need to find the right boundary there.
Yeah,
right?
there's an extreme to it.
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is. Yeah.
So
Good point.
yeah. How do we assess what is a threat and what isn't? Is the whole point, right? But that's what Donald Trump's campaign was all about, right? It's like we have Mexicans who are a threat. We have the Muslims who are a threat. We have we have these people who are a threat. We need to establish borders here. We need to amp up the military. It's very primal in the sense that it is attacking the threat centers of people. And it's even if it's exaggerating the threat a little bit, because Donald Trump is known to exaggerate some things, just for publicity and entertainment and whatever, and to make sure the attention goes his way.
Yeah.
It's still hitting the primal parts of the brain where it's like we have to make sure we're all safe. But yeah, that's what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think you're continually going to encounter those kind of people from now through the election.
Yeah.
And you're constantly around those kind of people in general. You were around them last Saturday.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you this. I think it's because I'm around I'm not around a conservative area very much,
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, and I also think that more people are conservative than they put out to be and what they say.
Oh, deep down they're...
I do think so, because it's such a nasty environment against conservatives nowadays that I don't think people
Well, that's
are
not the norm
safe.
nowadays, is to be... Especially in California, right? In LA? Because it's not that popular.
Or welcome.
Or welcome to be that kind of mindset overall.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these narratives online have been pushed so far that it's constantly being, I don't want to say like brainwashing people, but it's being shoved into their faces every day through the feed, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and you've got a lot of celebrities nowadays, a lot of influencers on social media pushing these kind of narratives. A lot of them have their own agenda, in my opinion, but yeah, especially in California, the political spectrum is still very left-leaning. And that goes with every major city, to be honest. New York, San Francisco, maybe even Chicago. And it's interesting to know because there's some type of correlation between people getting mashed together into this one small area and the amount of leftist ideas increasing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting to point out.
Yeah.
And I think the reason being is because people are so close together, I suppose. Maybe they're just so used to seeing each other. But there's also this universal idea that people are suffering in general. So whether they're struggling financially, struggling socially, maybe they're just struggling in general.
Yeah. The modern day slaves are the Uber drivers and the Lyft drivers.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of indentured servitude.
I wouldn't say that that's true.
So
compared to what historically we've had to go through.
Right, we have it much worse than back day slaves.
Yeah, seriously.
So yeah, I don't know the real reason what the correlation is.
I had a friend who was actually a very intelligent guy. I had to stop being friends with him because he was just a little bit too much, and I think he hated my position so badly that he didn't want to talk to me anymore.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. I think.
If you take it that far, then
I think so. It's like, how are you? I don't know. Let's not even get into that part. But there's a point I wanted to make with this. So,
well, he's doubled down so far that he can't let it go for even a minute, probably.
Yeah, no, it's so bad. And so he's a very intelligent person, But when it came to, I forgot the point I was gonna make. I totally forgot. It was something about politics, but he's very left-leaning, and I forgot what it was. I totally forgot.
It's a. We were talking about that, how very, very intelligent people, they tend to, or not most of them, but there have been few that thrive in this kind of platform, the kind of like social media platform, and there's a lot of toxic, topics being thrown around, and then they side with the left, and they get a lot of publicity, they get a lot of social points, and they get a lot of benefits overall, and they see a lot of opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people nowadays see the opportunity and they double down on it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So a lot of influencers, a lot of celebrities, a lot of politicians even. So they see that this huge narrative is being pushed by major companies, and they're the big innovators and the go-to, virtue companies and figures to look up to. Mm-hmm. So it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Nowadays.
Yeah.
So they double down on that kind of idea, and they say, I'm an ally. Or they side with the feminists, and they say toxic masculinity is a real thing.
Yeah.
They side with all these ideas, and they're so anti-Trump, they're so anti-capitalism, they're so anti-market, everything conservative. So that kind of echo chamber is so large now in today's political spectrum. It's hard to get out of.
Yeah.
It's like a big hurricane that is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, especially people don't really question their beliefs.
There's that too, and that kind of narrative is being pushed too, in a way, because it's like, why do you need to verify your study? It's like, are you saying that we're not moral enough or something like that? Are you questioning our source?
I know. Are you really that racist that you have to actually question this?
They actually say that. Yeah, it's scary. They do that to a lot of young people. They're like, are you racist?
Yeah.
You have to side with this. You have to side with the AOC.
Were you the one who sent me that one video coming out in 2019? No?
I don't think so.
It's funny, dude. You gotta watch this one. You should pull it up. It's like a 3-4 minute video.
What is it called?
It's called Coming Out in 2019.
Oh, yeah. I think I sent you this one. It was like a guy. He plays like a...
The first one, yeah.
He plays like a kid, and he was with a parent.
No.
Oh, never mind.
No, something else.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this one.
No, it's basically, I don't know if we can find a way to play it for the audience. It's literally like a 4-minute video. It's not even that long. Is it possible to show or no?
Maybe. I'm not too sure, to be honest. Maybe. Well, I don't think it will, to be honest, because monetization probably, because we'll be using their content essentially, and they'll be able to claim it, I suppose.
We will put the link to this video in the bio, but it's a very good video where there's 3 guy friends. They're all sitting down. It's kind of comedy skit where one guy, he's like, "You guys are my best friends, right?" And they're like, yeah, of course we are. And he's like, well, I've been struggling with something recently, and I just want to talk about it. And they're like, yeah, of course, no, go ahead. Like, he's like, you guys will accept it, right? Like, you guys are accepting friends, right? And they're like, yeah, dude, of course. He's like, well, if I'm really honest with myself, and I'm really, I've been really thinking about this and considering this. And he's like, I'm conservative.
Yeah, so I was going to say that.
Yeah. Instead of I'm gay, I'm conservative. And these guys are like, their faces drop. They're like, what? What?
What are you talking about?
He's like, so what, you hate women? You hate like kids? You hate, and he's like, no, of course not. This guy's like, one of the guys is like, just watch the video. I don't want to explain the whole thing. It's very funny.
how extreme politics can be nowadays.
It's so stupid, man.
And
It's like,
like
well,
that in social media, especially Twitter.
yeah, it's like we have no room for hatred and bigotry in this group, and that's what
Yeah.
they say. He's like, what? All I said, he's like, it's not just conservative and liberal. There's a whole spectrum, right? And these guys are like, well, where do you lie on the spectrum of stupidity? And the guy was like,
Good comedy. That's funny.
it's so true, though. It's so true. Look how many likes the video has. So true. So
It's amazing how much social media has changed politics overall. I never thought it would reach this far.
yeah,
How it literally has governments creating policies and laws on how we talk and how we should address each other, I suppose.
yeah,
That's a scary thing.
Yeah.
And Jordan Peterson was the first, well, not the first, but he was one of the major figures to call it out,
yeah.
which is really what sparked his career, or what sparked his whole popularity.
Yeah.
Because he's had a career as a behavioral psychologist.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's interesting to know. Oh, there's this site. This channel, Jubilee? Is that what it's called?
I've heard of it. Isn't it very like
It's nonsense.
it's nonsense?
It's a lot of like clickbaity type of videos, and it's very strange the kind of content they put out. It's a lot of like teenage girl bait,
Yeah.
to be honest.
They have a something similar called, I think, Cut.
Is it Cut? Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Is it called Cut?
Cut?
Where it's like maybe it's Cut.
I think it is actually.
Yeah. This
It
is
is
it.
Cut, yeah.
Oh wait, is it? Maybe not. Yes. It is lineup, the Cut lineup, where they have like random people and they have to guess like who's based on the video. Obviously, there's different categories, but one of them was like some of them are political, some of them are more like identified.
A lot of it's
by-
entertainment in general. I mean, look at these titles, because it's like
Yeah.
gay men decide who's the gayest,
Yes.
and then the
It's like,
lineup you were talking about too.
I would not waste a second watching a video like that. No offense to the gay people out there. It's nothing against you gay people, okay? I promise you it's not. It's just it's entertainment, right? But I don't know. I just can't do it. I personally can't do it. Entertainment in general, not just anything against gay people.
Yeah, it's like a culture type of entertainment.
Yeah.
That really double down on the culture nowadays.
Yeah.
So they're really friendly in terms of like bringing in a lot of gay people, bringing in a lot of trans people, bringing in a lot of just different demographics overall. And the main thing I see here is that there's no white people at all. And then if they are, they have to justify it. Like, oh, not white. I'm Spanish, light skin. I don't get outside.
Actually, if you go back in time, you'll see that I'm 2% Native American.
Okay.
That's what they'll say.
That's what they'll say.
Actually, one of the girls, at the rally,
Yeah.
the Jamaican guy, the black guy, was talking to two of the girls. Remember I
Yeah.
told you? One of the girls, she was clearly white. She was like the Elizabeth Warren white.
Okay.
She was like, yeah, no, I'm Native American too. And I'm like, bullshit.
You're like, I see it.
Maybe 1%. Maybe you had somewhere down the line one person, but that
Did you
doesn't
really
make
say
you
that?
Native American.
That's so
That doesn't make
stupid.
you a victim of the patriarchy.
People who push that argument, you shouldn't be talking to in general.
Yeah.
They're probably very unstable people. who are
She looked like it, I'll tell you
They're
that.
trying to push that
She
argument.
really looked like it.
Like, oh, I'm black. Like, you're...
I will tell you this though. One of the girls did mention a really good book. She made a good point. She was talking about how she read this one book that kind of changed her mind, and it seemed like a good book to look into. Something about U.S. foreign intervention in the 1800s in Latin America.
Okay.
And she's like, look up any book on that, and you will find out and learn about how the U.S. has been interfering with Latin American politics and everything like that
In Southern America?
throughout. Huh?
In Southern America?
Yeah, in Southern America.
Oh, they've been doing that for a while.
Yeah. Which I mean, I was like, okay, sure, I can look up some stuff. Now, what they did, whether it's right, wrong, good, bad, effective, not effective, that's all up for debate. Moral, immoral, based on what moral theory? There's like 10 different moral theories,
Yeah.
right? Based on, and what's the end outcome? Is it to screw the other people over? Is it to help us? What's the long-term objective, right? These are all different questions that need to be asked and specified.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do it. They're like, oh, the fact that you intervened, that's it. You're immoral. You're wrong.
Well, yeah, America has been always the big brother throughout history,
Yeah.
ever since they took over America in general. So, was she one of those people that didn't like America in general? It's like
It
America.
seemed like it. It
Okay.
seemed like it. I can't say because I don't know, but it seemed. I wouldn't be shocked if she said like, "Screw America, we need to take the system down."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anarchists type
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
Do you think anarchists are really a problem in
Yeah.
general? Are they close to like terrorists?
I would say so. Have you seen?
Antifas?
Yeah, something like Antifa's, right? But the one movie, Fight Club.
Oh, Fight Club, yeah.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, anarchist.
Yep.
What was his one quote? Maybe the answer is no system at all. Maybe it's pure anarchy, or something like that, right? Going back to the roots, or something like that. He said something like that.
Yeah. People who say that are usually like the buff rednecks who have a truck. They always have a gun on them at all times or something like that. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
speaking of which, one quick thing. Going back to Trump, did you see his 2020 election announcement, or his official announcement for his re-election campaign?
No.
There was a speech. It's an hour and 19 minutes. Very good speech, I think. Not because I agree or disagree with what he says or anything like that. That one right there, the first one.
It's an hour and 19 exactly.
Yeah. So it is. One thing I realized after watching this is the guy just knows how to energize the crowd and to control the frame of the conversation, to the charismatic leader, the guy who's like super certain. There is not an ounce, not even a single ounce of uncertainty I can feel from him. He doesn't like doubt anything he's saying or thinking or feeling. He's such a strong like force. It's like you can't make him budge or move. So that's what it is. I mean, I think that's why he like draws such a large crowd. But he's like such a good speaker also. That's what I've noticed, regardless of his politics.
He's such a unique type of speaker.
Yeah, yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
Because he's so... No one else would talk like that.
Yeah, yeah.
No other politician.
Very, very difficult. But he's like yelling, like you'll see throughout the speech, like he starts to like yell at the crowd. They're like, yeah, we're going to keep America great again and this and that and whatever. We're going to,
The group
make
thing
sure.
is really powerful.
Yes, the group effect. He hardcore plays up the us versus them dynamic. So it's us versus the fake media, the news media. It's us versus the Democrats. It's us versus the politicians, the corrupt politicians. It's we the people versus them. And that is like it's like an archetypal idea, right? It's like good versus evil. You're either with me or against me. A very hard polarization strategy. But you can see it in his speech. You'll see it. Like it's very... That's what it is, yeah.
I like how he claims he's the best.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah, and he doesn't even doubt it. You can feel it in his thing. It's like...
He reminds you every like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm
He
the best.
even says in the speech, he's like, there's no one better than me.
There's no one-
He said something like
I
that. He's
love
like,
that line.
your favorite president, Donald Trump, there's only one president who's beaten me in terms of appointing judges, in terms of the percentage. I will be breaking the record except for one president. He's like, unfortunately, I can't beat this person. You know who that guy is? He's like, George Washington. George Washington.
Really a great guy.
Yeah. We will make America great again.
Yeah.
It's like, but he actually had the people vote on what the slogan should be: "Make America Great Again" or "Keep America Great," based on their chant and how loud they would chant it. Obviously, it was "Keep America Great" that won. But that's what it is.
Yeah. He's gonna do his thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll double down, to be honest, during the election.
I think he is going to.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going even harder than he was last time, which I think is necessary for him because of all the opposition he's had,
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how he does.
Jeez, I hate him so much.
Yeah, I know. You can just feel it.
That's obviously.
I'm gonna get Nicole.
Yeah, Trump. Cool guy.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. Never in history would I thought this guy would be president.
Yeah, no. We wouldn't have expected
cut.
it.
But yeah, I feel like we're doing like a political show now.
Yeah, it's
all
weird.
we're talking about
We're
nowadays?
always talking about. We can switch the
Are
subject
we
for the
bored,
last
guys?
like few minutes. We can talk about something else.
Yeah.
What else has been going on?
What else has been going on, to be honest? I've been listening to a lot of Joe Rogan recently.
Oh yeah, you were gonna say something about that.
Oh, yeah. So recently, his latest episode, he had a famous guy, apparently, as a guest. And his name is Bob Lazar.
Okay.
Now, this person, he worked for the government in 1980, and specifically 1989. He worked on a sub-compound in the area that was Area 51. So he is here to tell us firsthand in this interview, and in a documentary they made, him and this other individual on the podcast a while ago. He's telling us firsthand of his experience working with a interstellar aircraft.
What?
He's giving a lot of stories. He's giving his perspective and his hands-on experience on what happened in the compound and how he was part of this secret like system. Like they didn't tell him much. He was just like a working scientist that was tasked with analyzing a mysterious aircraft that the military found, and then they brought it into this compound underground. So a lot of it was very hush-hush, a lot of it was very secretive, and this was back in 1989. So technology wasn't the best, but they had what they had. And the main thing that stood out in this whole podcast was his very detailed descriptions about the aircraft itself and how it was something he's never seen before.
Okay.
So a very skeptic podcast, I suppose.
Sure.
So it already has 3 million views, and it's been out for like a couple days.
Wow.
Since June 20th.
Okay.
So 4 days. And a lot of people like this episode. They like this podcast. They're not really calling out a lot of bullshit.
Okay.
It's making them think. And this podcast was a lot better than the documentary. I saw it. I saw the documentary after this podcast. And people, there's not a lot of backlash, to be honest. There's not a lot like, oh, it's bullshit. I mean, there is some of that, I'm pretty sure, but there's not a lot of it. Less than I expected, to be honest.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those guys, like I've told you.
Okay. What did you think about what he was saying? What were some of the interesting things that he was
Some
saying?
of it was actually pretty interesting.
Okay.
He really was detailed about his explanation about certain things. He'll go into detail about like what the size of the aircraft, what it felt like, how this kind of science was kind of bizarre at the time, the mechanics of the aircraft itself. And you can tell it was kind of a mechanical type of podcast because he really got into the details of his work and what he was tasked to do and what they found and how like it ruined his life overall, the whole working with the government. But if you have time, I guess just watch it. It's not your typical like UFO type of talk, whereas like a bunch of like older guys like talking about what they saw at night or something like that. It does sound like he has some justification behind his explanations. And Joe Rogan is, of course, very interested. He's really into it.
Yeah.
And there's even like a big part of the podcast where he talks about his theories and how he's really thought about all this stuff when he's high and everything. He gets all these ideas. He even says
Typical
that.
Joe.
Typical Joe doing DMT and thinking about the world in the universe.
Yeah.
But the ultimate, this episode really makes you question, are we alone in the universe? And it made me think about it too for a good solid 2 hours during a podcast. So I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think we're alone in the universe?
No, I don't think so.
No?
No, not at all.
What makes you
I've
think
thought
so?
about this before.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so because there is something, and I'm sure I've told you this before.
You're gonna throw the stats argument at me, where there's like so many.
There's yeah. There's something called Drake's equation.
Drake's equation.
Yeah. If you don't know what it is, look it up.
Look it up.
Even if you put in conservative inputs into the stats of like how many galaxies there are, how many planets there are within galaxies and within solar systems, how many solar systems are there, and then within how many solar systems are there, how many planets are able to sustain life, and the ones that are able to sustain life, how many have advanced forms of life. And the number falls in the millions, dude.
Yeah.
Advanced life falls in the millions. That's how big the universe is, right? Now, even if Drake's equation is wrong or incorrect, I just don't think the odds are in the favor of it not having other forms of life. I just think it's far away. I mean, and by far away, I mean not like in the vast infiniteness of the universe. It's like far away from like we're right here and then they're like all the way at the other end of the universe. I'm saying for us to even reach them, I think it's not going to be possible in our lifetimes. Maybe they will reach us. I don't think we're going to have the technology yet to be able to reach them, or maybe communicate with them in our lifetime, but not actually go there because we haven't mastered. I think the fastest thing what they found is the speed of light so far. The only thing that light cannot escape from is I think a black hole. That's what it is, right?
That's the main thing that's going on.
So the only thing that maybe you can go travel interstellar is maybe through a black hole or something like that. Don't know, but I don't think we're alone in the universe, man.
There's a lot of details about that kind of space travel, and it has people really wondering just how it all works.
Yeah.
And, there's this whole conspiracy culture nowadays where it's like, oh, maybe they've already visited. Oh, they're taking over the government, and they've been here before.
Yeah.
I saw them in my backyard the other day. So there's a lot of those people out there.
Yeah.
And I think most of them are pretty crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They don't really know what they're talking about. They just want something to believe in, and they want to be right about something.
Yes.
Because, answering this question, it's probably, if not the biggest discovery in human history, to really confirm whether or not we are not alone.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
In the universe, or in the other universes.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's something like we'll never understand, even in our lifetime, right?
Probably. And I think the biggest factor to consider is that even if we do come in contact with advanced civilization, are they going to be friendly? Can we really trust them?
Yeah, that's the human thing to do. It's like, are they violent? Should be worried about it.
My threat assessment center's going off. The amygdala. Are they safe? Are they not? Do we need to create borders between us and them?
Do they have threat assessments? Who knows?
Or should we just mesh it all together?
Invite them in.
Yeah. Come into our world. We don't see you as a threat.
Open our atmosphere.
I know, right? There's no border on our atmosphere. Imagine we have a president in the future.
We should create a metal dome around Earth.
The metal dome just got 10 feet thicker.
Guess what? They're trying to get in now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe we will.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there.
Yeah.
But I've told you my theory about the whole, if they were out there, this is what they would be doing.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll repeat it. But I think ultimately when it comes to space travel and communication through civilizations, I guess, if they reach to that point of intelligence, it's just going to be a bunch of AI.
Call. Hold on. I'm just
pausing
straight up to
pausing.
Okay, no, you can continue. I'm just going to start it over. Okay, cool.
Good. So what was I saying? AI.
Yeah.
That's really the way to go.
Yeah.
That's the future, right? But in this podcast, he doesn't really mention AI that much at all. He says there were actually living beings in the aircraft that the military found. So they were actual pilots. But the thing is, they were small, apparently. They were like 4 to 3 feet. So the aircraft was made for those individuals. And it was really strange because his department of analysis was strictly the aircraft itself. And he says like there was like a reactor in the middle. There was like these 3 tiny seats around it. And they said they were able to make the aircraft work again. So they were able to activate it and fly around
wow.
in the aircraft. So he said the science of the jet or the propulsion system was very strange. Like it lifted off very quietly. There was like no loss of energy in the system overall. And in our modern technology, there's always some kind of loss of energy in everything we produce. So when you drive your car, there's a loss of energy due to like heat and respect to the gas that's being produced in the engine and through the tires, and there's heat being lost from that lamp right there. It's not 100% efficient. But in the aircraft, it's like so high tech that it was like the perfect engine.
But how did they find this again? It came to Earth or what?
Apparently, it crash landed into Earth.
Okay.
That was what he speculated.
Okay.
But they never gave him a direct answer, of course.
Okay.
So they were just like, "It's your job to work on this." And he's like, "Okay." So it was him and a team, supposedly. But there's a lot of conspiracy theorists so excited to see this podcast now because they're like, "Oh, I knew it all along." Like they were doing something in Area 51. A lot of old geezers, probably. But yeah, I was really surprised that this kind of podcast came out.
Yeah. Wow.
Because Joe Rogan's super excited about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we can finally have a discussion about this, like a real discussion.
Yeah.
With someone with actual facts and visualization.
Yeah.
Instead of
versus like, what's his name? Alex Jones.
And Eddie Bravo.
Yeah, Eddie Bravo.
Those nutcases.
Yeah.
We're just talking about whatever.
Oh God.
But yeah, it's interesting to know that someone like this existed, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure we wouldn't even know that they existed because the government's so sneaky about like.
How is it that the government
guys
is allowing him to release this kind of information?
I think he's had a clash with the government ever since he, like his supervisors when he was on the job, and he was able to. Like toss and turn with a power struggle between his supervisor and him. Like he released some tapes or he released some information that kept them safe for a while, and then it went back and forth. And then he constantly was like whistleblowing every now and then. So amazing. Who knows? But it makes you question.
Yeah.
Overall, because there's going to be secrets that we never know about.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Right.
It's the government.
Yeah. Unless like years and years and years later they declassify the information, but they're probably not going to declassify everything, So
who knows? Who really knows?
Who knows, man?
Something we really don't have to worry about, to be honest. Because even if it were true, how would our lives change? I'm still going to go to the gym in the morning.
Yeah. Unless the aliens all come over tomorrow and they take over our planet. But other than that,
yeah.
Not really. It's not really going to change.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show that are they really that smart?
Aliens or
the aliens? Because they crash landed. A couple other people crash landed on the planet itself. So it's like,
who knows, man? For all we know, it's a trap.
Oh, that's
right. Imagine they purposely
maybe they purposely did that. Yeah.
Oh, to experiment with us or something.
Let's make them a little crazy. Let's crash
to see
land
to test our intelligence to see if we can make this thing work again.
Maybe
the craft.
Maybe that was a bad vessel. They're like, oh, they're stupid anyway.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Make them crash.
This is like the bottom tier ship. We just gotta, get rid of them somehow.
Get rid of them.
Let's just crash land them on like the dumbest planet that we can find. They're like, which one is it? Earth.
Earth.
Yeah, just have them crash land there.
That's okay,
The primitive people there won't figure anything out.
What are they gonna do? Make a podcast about it?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Who knows? Who really knows?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, let's say you were in that position. Like you were like trying to solve, or you were trying to find some other civilization. How would you go about it?
Find some other civilization?
I guess so, yeah. Like how would you make contact? What would you do? Through our human logic.
And through our current technology?
I guess so, yeah. Or even through future technology. Something you can think of.
Radio waves or something like that.
Something
or not
like
radio
that.
waves necessarily. Just waves. There's some like technology I'm sure that is able to send out like waves or something.
It's funny that you mentioned radio waves because he mentions it quite a bit.
Oh, does he?
In
Yeah.
the podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
In the aircraft itself, it emitted a lot of radio waves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess radio waves is the answer then.
I guess that's the future.
But, yeah, I know, right? But I would say it's like you send the radio waves out, you receive something back probably, and who knows?
I think we're so scared because throughout human history, any encounter with like a different species or different race of people have always been bad. So you have the Spanish with the Mexicans, you have the British with the Indians, you have the Mongols with everybody else. So it's been a bad thing throughout history.
Yes.
And maybe it will repeat itself when it's in space.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they're not human, so who knows what's gonna go down.
Ooh, yeah, that's a different fight, dude. In species fight versus out species. Oh, bro, you best believe we're gonna like all the countries are gonna align together for a while and like pool their resources together.
Maybe it's something we need.
Yeah. To survive.
It's gonna fix all this political mishap and all this.
You know what it's like? It's like Game of Thrones. I don't know if we can talk about that. Yeah, I guess we can talk about
I guess we could.
Yeah, where like people are like, well, the White Walkers are all coming in. They're not human. But if we don't like get rid of our differences or in our in-species fighting, we are gonna end up dying from the White Walkers. So we better like, you know, there's obviously gonna be the Cerseis of the world out there where they're, you know, I don't know if I'm spoiling anything, but you know.
Not really.
Okay.
Every step.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the ultimate human story.
Yeah.
Band together as Earth.
Earth versus the rest of the world.
Hold the flag up of Earth on it. And we'll
The
be
Earth
together.
flag. We're gonna plant the Earth's flag.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's something to think about. But yeah, pretty cool. What time are we at right now? We're at 16 minutes.
Yeah.
On this
So an hour and 46, I think.
hour and 46.
Something like
That's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah.
With this kind of format.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see how this turns out,
Yes.
and maybe we'll actually, you know, stick with this format.
Yeah.
Even because it might do well. So, good episode.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Cool. See you later.
See you later.